In the King James Bible, they are called the Nephilim, beings of great stature who walked the earth before the flood. In Homer's Odyssey, they appear as the Cyclopes and the Laestrygonians, cannibalistic giants who terrorize the seas. For centuries, scholars have treated these as separate myths from separate worlds. But what if they are not myths at all? What if they are the same people, recorded by different civilizations in different languages at different ends of the ancient world? The Hebrew word is Nephilim, Strong's H5303, derived from Nephal, meaning the fallen ones. In Genesis, they appear briefly, almost without explanation. But the Ethiopian Orthodox canon preserves what was lost. The book of Enoch, First Enoch, tells us precisely who they were. The offspring of the Watchers, 200 angelic beings who descended upon Mount Hermon in the anti-Lebanon mountains and mingled with humanity. Mount Hermon. That is where the lineage begins. That is the root node of the entire ancestral tree. The Ethiopian Orthodox Tewahedo Church is the only tradition in the world that preserved First Enoch in full. While Western Christianity removed it from the canon, Ethiopian scholars maintained it as scripture for over 2,000 years. From a Black Christian perspective, this is not a footnote, it is the foundation. The African intellectual tradition did not lose the thread, it kept it. And that thread leads directly to the origin of the giants, to their geography, and to their descendants. At some point, driven by resource depletion, divine judgment, or environmental catastrophe, the ancestral population fractured. One faction stayed, they built. They raised monuments so massive that every civilization that encountered them afterward assumed only giants could have made them. Göbekli Tepe, 9,600 BCE. The Jericho Tower, 8,000 BCE. Gilgal Rephaim in Bashan, the Wheel of Giants, 3,000 BCE. The Malta temples, attributed in local folklore to a race of giants. Neuralgic Sardinia with its Cyclopean towers built without mortar. These are not coincidences. These are the fingerprints of the communal faction, the builders. The second faction left. They became the nomads, maritime wanderers who moved along Bronze Age trade routes across the Mediterranean. When Odysseus encountered the Cyclops Polyphemus, he found a solitary giant living in a cave, tending sheep, with no laws, no assembly, no king. That description, isolated, territorial, outside civilization, matches exactly the profile of a displaced nomadic population at the edge of the known world. When his crew encountered the Laestrygonians, they found a coastal giant society that destroyed 11 of 12 ships. These are not fairy tales. These are encounter records. When we map these sites globally, without assuming any pattern in advance, a shape emerges, an arc, from southeastern Anatolia through the Levant, across the Mediterranean islands to Sardinia. Within this arc, three things converge at every major node: mortarless megalithic architecture, biblical giant encounter narratives, and Mediterranean giant traditions. We call this the Nephilim megalithic crescent. It was not assumed, it was found. But the corridor does not stop at the sea. A third branch migrated southward into Africa, and the evidence is still walking among us. The Dinka people of South Sudan, a Nilotic population, have a documented mean height among the tallest in the world, with a genetic predisposition for exceptional stature that anthropologists confirm may attain greater height if privileged with favorable environmental conditions. A 2014 peer-reviewed medical study found that the biblical giant Goliath and his family carried a heritable AIP gene mutation, causing autosomal dominant gigantism, a real, documented genetic condition passed through bloodlines. The African anchor is not metaphor, it is biology. Using stochastic population modeling, the same mathematics applied to endangered species and ancestral lineage tracing, we can model what happened to both factions. The communal builders, dependent on dense local populations to sustain their construction projects, declined through density-dependent collapse. The nomadic faction dispersed so widely that their lineages became subcritical, mathematically fated for eventual annihilation through encounters with expanding human populations. Joshua's conquests, Odysseus's victories. These are not just stories, they are extinction events, recorded at the moment they happened. The conclusion of this research is this: the Nephilim of the Bible and the giants of Homer's Odyssey are not separate myths. They are the same people, a population carrying a common ancestral DNA, a heritable predisposition for exceptional stature, and a shared origin at Mount Hermon. A societal rift split them into builders and wanderers. One branch stayed and built monuments that still stand. One branch took to the sea and became the monsters of Greek legend. One branch moved south into Africa, and their descendants stand among the tallest people on Earth today. The Ethiopian Orthodox Church kept the record. The KJV preserved the encounters. Greek literature recorded the fear. And the stones, the massive, mortarless, impossible stones, are still there, waiting to be understood. This is independent research, driven by curiosity, grounded in scripture, and built to be defensible. The full paper is available. The conversation has already